that I knew something would go wrong. I left the music on. Stupid. Stupid. This is what happens, right? Like I'm trying new and or different things, and of course, I had no way to monitor out there. What's going on out there? It would be really creepy if someone showed up there right now. That would be creepy. Don't have someone show up there now. Oh. Or if someone was behind me. I'm being watched from all sides. How are you all doing this evening? Let's see. Shows how prepared I am. I'm not prepared. I have a quick question. All right, I'm gonna go back out there now with the music off, and I want to check the volume. Now I'm back out here, but I don't know how the volume is because I can't monitor the volume because the room where I'm normally broadcasting from is over there. But at least this time, I don't have the other music playing over it, which was pretty stupid. So I'm curious. Making all kinds of mistakes this evening. Could you hear me out there? You could. But you couldn't see me. So now the volume should be fine. Everything should be fine. Well, I think. Let's hope. I lost my monitor because I was shuffling around on the rug. What a lovely start. It's always if you try new things, expect the unexpected. Come on. Show up. Sorry, gotta fix a problem here. It doesn't seem to be fixed. I'm not getting a signal to my monitor, which is, there it is. It's back. If I move it around, if I move around, it's going to cause all kinds of problems. So I'll stay here. We can always throw back to there just to be sure that there's nobody breaking into the house. But apart from that, I'm gonna stay in here with my. Do I have a bald spot? I have the beginnings of a bald spot, but I have very much the later stages of receding hairline. This is great fun for everyone involved. All right. first off, I apologize. I apologize greatly for last week. It's been a rough couple of months, man. I don't know, for everybody. Even today was horrible. It was saved. Today was saved, in my opinion. You might even notice like my face has some color in it, which is not usual. But it was the first sunny day in, I don't know, sunny and warm. It was like a high of like 60 here. So it was sunny. It was clear. It was warm. I'm liking the blue side light that I've got going now. Sunny, was clear, it was warm. I worked as much as I could from outside, and then I kind of realized, like for me, this is actually a little bit sunburned. Like it's hard to see. If you actually see me sunburned, then I'm super, like I'm way beyond sunburn. Like this, I can feel it. I can feel that I actually have a little bit of a sunburn. And boy, that was great. That really made my afternoon getting outside for a while. And I did put on SPF, Lexi, but I didn't until after a couple hours had passed by because I wasn't expecting it. The worst sunburn I ever got in my life was when I was like 14 years old. I was in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, fly fishing, and it was like 50 degrees out and cloudy. And we were out there all day. And then around 3 o'clock, I just started to notice. And the thing is, you're standing in the water and it's chilling you, right? So I was cold. And I started to be like uncontrollably shiver. And I had a sunburn that was so bad, I had to stay in the cabin for the next couple of days. This is really bad. It probably is the source of a lot of the sunspots you can see here now. So always wear your sunscreen if you can. All right, let me say, so yeah, I'm really sorry about last week. Just, I couldn't bring myself to do it. Frankly, like I said, if it weren't for the nearly perfect weather today, don't know if I would have been able to, you were expecting Miami, right? But however, I'll work Miami into the story because up until that point, I had lived in Miami. Ergo, I was not familiar. The idea of sunburn and cloudiness and coldness, those were sort of polar opposites for me, and why I didn't, in hindsight, my mother or the adults should have maybe they did. Maybe my adults told me to put on sunscreen, and I was like, put on sunscreen. I'm from Miami. I don't put on sunscreen when I'm in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. It's not, you guys don't have sun here. This isn't really sun. This is a whir. Oh my God, it was so bad. Let's see. So the thing that I wanted to talk about tonight, if people are comfortable with it, we can always derail, we always do. But the thing that I wanted to talk about is near-death experiences from your past, and maybe the ones that are, not everyone has one. You've probably been very, very close to death at some point in your life without knowing it, right? And sometimes maybe later on in life, you, in retrospect, realize it. And I'm happy to kick off with such a story that happened to me when I was but a young lad. And who knows, maybe it's a story that I've told before. I don't know. But I was I had to be 12 or younger. I don't know how old I was. Maybe 11, maybe 12. And this was an era and has been, this is the story of my childhood, and anyone who grew up in the 80s or 90s probably have similar, maybe similar childhood. So I had a privileged childhood up until about the age of 15. But basically, like, my mom and dad didn't see me from the moment school let out and I got home. I would eat something and then I'd leave, and then I wouldn't come home until after dark. And there was this was pre-Adam Walsh and pre the sort of, I don't think it was pre kids getting kidnapped and killed, but I do think it was pre the media frenzied coverage of that, which, put that fear into everyone's minds, which really started with Adam Walsh, who, if y'all don't know the story of Adam Walsh, he got kidnapped from a Sears Roebuck in Miami, or maybe it was Fort Lauderdale, but it was very close to where I lived, in 1980, and was later found beheaded. And his father, John Walsh, went on to start America's Most Wanted. And I think it was really like with Adam Walsh where parents started to be like, I need to know where my kids are. But prior to that, it was just like, go do whatever the hell you want. So this was one of those nights where I was out doing whatever the hell I want. Is Lady Nerevar has to go? Oh, hi and bye, Lady Nerevar. Thank you for popping by. It's good to see you. Anyway, so yeah, I was out and it had rained, like it does, every day pretty much every day during the summer, in the South. And I want to think of how this was. Like we were just riding bikes with a couple of friends and came across a street lamp that had, I don't know what had happened to it. It had exploded or something. Like the glass was shattered. It was just one of those street poles with the frosted glass bulb at the top. It didn't have like a arch part or anything. It was like an old style, small urban street lamp. And this was in Coral Gables, which, was kind of an affluent area. So they were very they looked neat and they were like iron looking with, filigrees and all this kind of stuff that may or may not have contributed to them not caring about the electrical construction of the street. I don't know. But the glass had exploded and it was sparking. It was whatever the light element that was still there was like sparking a little bit. Now, I wasn't like a total idiot. It was never part of my plan to go up and like touch it or anything like that. But I did start to approach it, and I was walking up to it. I remember some friends were like standing back a little further than I was, and I started walking up closer and closer to it. The ground was wet because it had just rained, and whatever the storm was is probably what caused the street lamp to explode. And as I was getting closer to the lamp, I felt like a funny feeling, like just a funny feeling in my feet. And then I could kind of feel it in my legs. And as I was getting closer and closer, one of my friends was like, "Hey, Scott, what the hell is going on?" And when I looked down, I noticed my legs were shaking, like from being electrocuted. And then I started to feel it like in my hips, and then I started to feel like my legs were going to give out. And then I was going to fall onto the wet ground, and whatever this electricity was that was going through my legs would then go through my entire body. Now, I have no idea what the voltage or amperage or whatever it is. Like, what would that have done? Would that have caused an electrocardio event? I don't know. If I had collapsed at that moment, which is what I felt like doing, I don't know what the results would have been, but they wouldn't have been good. I was able to like kind of throw myself back, and then I had like a friend like kind of grab me and pull me back. And so I was able to just kind of walk it off. So, and it was weird. There was like a lot of pain afterwards. I don't recall the pain. Like, people who get tased, they're in a lot of pain. I don't recall the pain while I was actively being electrocuted, but I was in pain afterwards. Now, I've probably come much closer to death than that in my life. I've like had horrible arrhythmic episodes while driving, which, if I were to go into syncope or something like that, would probably have ended with me wrapped around a pole or something. And I've been in surgery a few times, so routine surgery, but I don't really know, right? Like what happens when you're under, I don't know. So those are the times that I know about in retrospect, where I feel like I was probably pretty close. You have to excuse me for 1 second, guys. Hold on. I'll be right back. It's not worth trying new stuff. But anyway, so that was my possible brush with death. So if you have a story like that, I'd like to start with that at least, right? Like we probably, we could veer off it. But if you do have a story like that, then give this email a ring. Carolyn, yeah. Being part idiot, I think that kind of comes with the territory of being a kid. Yeah. So this is similar. Oh dear. And this is true butterfly composer, right? The act of driving at a high rate of speed means that very, very few things have to go wrong for you to then turn that into, for that to go south. But by the way, hello, everybody. Hello, Lexi, Pavi, PG, Q, Colorful Dreams, Lee LeBrun. Oh yeah, you made it. Welcome. You made it to the experimentation edition that didn't go so well. Xava, hello. Lisa, hello. Carolyn, of course, hello. Maddie, Fleglo. No, typically that would mean horror, right? And I do think there is something just vaguely sinister about a metronome going. beyond the obvious reasons why, like clocks, mean death. Yeah, I tried to set that scene with the metronome and the Coke. It's an IKEA couch. I wouldn't be surprised if 20% of households have a similar couch. Hello, Hex Tech. How are you doing? I did not know the intro music was on. I'm stupid. I did think you... Well, no, I thought you could see and hear me, and I was acting like maybe you couldn't. That's a very good tell, PG. I want to do something. I mean, eventually, I don't know, honestly, no, I don't even want to get into this because I don't want to promise anything that I'm not going to be able to deliver. Yeah, I could not see any of this out there. Did not have the Xava. Yes, that is Dorothea Lange. I have a few Dorothea Lange Dust Bowl prints up out there. Let's see. Oh man, this means everyone's gonna hate this music now. Like, remember, everyone's gonna hate this music. Remember, everybody used to hate this music. All music, if listened to enough, becomes hated. What reference was this, Maddie? Yeah, I really blew things up, didn't I? Okay, let me go ahead and check. I mean, I could talk about stuff, but I want to check to see, because I don't know how much energy I'm going to have. So I'd like to get into the emails ASAP. It's been, let's see, 2 weeks. No, I did a stream. Saturday night, was that? I did a stream Saturday night, but that was just me dicking around on guitar and talking about lights, which I could talk about lights more. I want to do a series called Lights, Camera, Action. Episode 1 is going to be lights. Episode 2, we'll talk about the cameras. And then episode 3, the action. Olevy, hi, how are you doing? Sorry, I meant to go to my mail. Someone pointed out to me not in my last video, but in the video before it, not these streams, the ASMR ones, that when I whisper that my inhales are really, really loud compared to the whisper, and I was doing a lot of them. And when that was pointed out and I went and checked it, I was like, oh shit, they're right. Like, that's, now that someone pointed it out, I was listening to it, I was like, oh man, that's horrible. Cue that. Okay, nobody has mailed, just so you all know. if you want to chat, if you want to get on camera and tell your near to death story, you have to email right here. Otherwise, I'm going to start talking about lights, and not the lights you see at the end of the tunnel, but the lights you see behind me. I'll talk more about these lights. You don't want to get me started on these lights. And I have lights that I had to put out there, even though it doesn't look like there's any lights out there. So freaking get with the emailing. Breathing's important. Now, Q, I just saw, I didn't summon you, but I did see, when looking at my email, a Patreon alert from you, which made me mad. And I'm going to see if I can stop it. And we have somebody who has mailed in. So let's, it's been a while since I've done this. Damn it. One volunteer. And one invite sent. You all, I love all of you, and you all have wonderful things to say. So, and I don't think, look, it's a near-death story. How could it be too boring? Q, this is what I was talking about. I mean, my whole point for eliminating that tier was so that you wouldn't do that. So I'm mad. I'm not genuinely mad, but I'm a little bit mad. But yeah, so if nobody calls in a little bit, I'll probably just end up going to, I just got to have this book around just for I just like looking at it. I like looking at it more in camera than in real life. What the lookup table does to these colors are very nice in real life. They're probably closer to, in real life, yeah, that's probably closer to what it actually looks like. But, we have somebody. We have a victim. And we can maybe talk about near-death experiences, or we don't have to. But either way, let's everybody give a big welcome. Welcome back, actually. Welcome. This is like third, I don't know if it's second or third time, but whatever it is is Carolyn.
Hey, hello.
And I can't hear you, Carolyn.
You can't? Oh,
but it seems other people can hear you. And I know why this is.
Okay.
So if you give me one moment, I will be able to hear you as well.
I don't mean this in the white supremacist way, by the way. I'm just saying, okay. I just want to be clear with everyone about that.
All right. Let's see. Can I hear you now?
I don't know. Can
yes.
you? May you? I don't know. May you? Hey, hi. Yes, this is my second time. I was trying to defer to other, I was sure you'd be flooded with people, and I'm like, well, yeah, I'll make way for them. But since you said nobody else had, I'm like, sure, I'll hop in. So hello.
Yeah, I got nobody. I got one after you called.
Okay. This is in before them.
You were, yeah.
Booyah.
It's good to see you and good to hear from you.
Yeah.
There's a slight lag for me, so
it might be my internet is kind of shitty, so it's quite possible it's my shitty internet.
Well, that's fine. But if I sound drunk,
so I apologize. Sorry?
If I sound drunk when I'm talking to you, it's because I'm hearing my voice like a millisecond late, and I'm trying to slow down to catch up, to let my laggy voice catch up with my regular voice, and that's annoying. But how have you been?
I mean, pretty good overall. Yeah. Fine. All things considered. I mean, the quarantine loneliness is real, and I think I've mentioned in the last episode, like I live alone, and it can be definitely hard, and I'm not gonna say that I'm things are hunky dory, but it's we're soldiering on as best we can through this fantastic ordeal in which we find ourselves, right?
It's especially the living alone part is I feel like if there were other people around me, I don't need a lot of people, right? Like
Yeah,
one or two would be, actually two would be too
yeah.
many probably.
I mean, I really believe that it's the value of the connections we have that matters much more than the quantity of connections. And, I find myself spending, like becoming increasingly aware that I'm spending way too much time on Twitter. And I know I do it because it's some sort of stimulus, right? Of like interactivity, but it's not emotionally or psychologically what I actually need. It kind of breaks my brain up because my brain is like every 20 seconds, it's like, where's the next serotonin hit of stimulus from Twitter updates or whatever. But what we really need, and I don't know if you've ever read this book by Olivia Lang called The Lonely City, which I find just absolutely fascinating.
No, but the title, you got me at the title.
Yeah, and so it's a deep dive into loneliness, but the way I think they go by they. I could be wrong. Olivia Lang, it looks at loneliness is by these deep dives into Edward Hopper, Andy Warhol, and other like David Wojnarowicz, if you're familiar with his work, but like these artists whose
Edward
work,
Hopper is,
yeah, of course, Edward Hopper, right? These artists whose work is imbued with loneliness, and maybe their lives were in some way imbued with loneliness. But anyway, she really nails the reality that what we need is deep connections in which we can be authentic and feel seen, and valued for who we are. And that's far more important than having I get exhausted by the idea of like having 20 or 30 or 40 like friends. To me just sounds kind of exhausting in a way, because there's no way for me those connections could all be like truly like deep. And so what I'm looking for, what I need, what I find nourishing, are like the close connections with a few people.
the number of memes I've seen now, or just like reworked cartoons or actual cartoons on the state of the antisocial personality. Like I have an antisocial personality prior to COVID compared to now. And it's usually something like showing the person like feeling almost aggressively disturbed when friends call up. And it's almost like, and I kind of had that. I was kind of like, why is this person bothering me? Like, I don't, and now it's just like somebody, somebody reach out.
Yes, I fully relate. Like, I mean, I think I am in when society is functioning in more normal ways. I'm a person who I do need alone time for my batteries to recharge. Right? I can find being in social situations, valuable, but also over time kind of draining in some way. But right now, I'm just like I'm so aware that what's missing in my life is a core of close connection. And it's inescapable, like that awareness. It's just
And
kind
Twitter,
of yeah.
I mean, Twitter is almost like well, first of all, Twitter is just horribly like kind of toxic, right? Although I guess
Yeah.
if you police your list of who you're friends with or who you follow or who you block, then maybe you can get to a point where it's reasonably not toxic. But it is very much, it's asynchronous, right? Like it's not a
Yeah.
constant kind of feedback that you get.
Right.
So I remember always, like whenever I'm reading an older book and they're talking about like, I would write, many letters to all of my pen pals. And then I would be thinking like, how do you, that just seems to me like there's that Arcade Fire song, We Used to Wait. I don't know if you're familiar with. Yeah, it kind of like is like how we need everything now
Yes.
immediately, right?
Yes. Yes.
And maybe this is kind of enforcing a little bit of that, or kind of reintroducing that. But I don't know. I think I'm too acclimated to just, like you said, those hits, those over and over hits of dopamine or
Yeah.
serotonin or whatever it is.
Yeah, I mean, I think is it Pavi in the chat? Says like all social media, Twitter is what you make of it, and I absolutely agree with that. And I think you can cultivate a positive Twitter experience, but it doesn't change the fact that for me, it's like you said, it's that constant. I should say, my brain gets trained to anticipate and expect and look for this constant stimulus, and so when I'll go for walks, for instance, and I will have to make a conscious effort, like, okay, I'm not going to pull out my phone and check Twitter during this walk, and my brain can just enter a different mode when I sort of deny it that constant stimulus, and that other mode is valuable, like it's good, it's healthy, but it takes it's like something, like I said, it's something I have to consciously choose to, I have to abstain from because it's so readily available, and because in the absence of those closer kinds of connections that I was talking about, that I think we all need, or most of us need, I need, it's very easy to use Twitter as a substitute, but not have it be what the kind of nourishment, the spiritual, or whatever you want to call it, emotional, intellectual,
And
nourishment we need.
it is also like one of those things where you have total control, right?
Yeah.
Which is a blessing and a curse, right? You have to deal with other people in real time and their reactions, and you can't just press a button, Black Mirror style, to kind of turn them off. So that's a good episode of Black Mirror, by the way. I liked I think it was called White Christmas. I think it was. I don't remember, but that was a good one. If anyone's looking for, I'm not a huge Black Mirror fan. I was at first, and I really wanted to be a fan, and for me it was like diminishing returns with every episode. And then I found Inside Number 9, and I was like, oh, this is better than Black Mirror anyway. So, but anyway, I'm sorry. So, Carolyn,
Yeah.
did you have a near-death experience that you wanted?
Sort of. Yeah. I mean, so a few months ago, I had a health scare. And what was happening for me was that I was having a lot of respiratory problems, and particularly at night when I would lay down to sleep. It was the act of laying down itself that would, make it, I don't know, flood my lungs with fluid or something, making it so that my breathing suddenly became very, very labored, and I couldn't breathe at all, and therefore I would like try to sit up. I would just sit up, I'd sit in a chair, and I'd be like, okay, well, I guess I'm going to try to sleep sitting up, and which did not work at all. I was getting like 1 or 2 sort of hours of like half, nodding off, but not actual sleep per night. And after a certain amount of days of this, I mean, I was so psychologically and emotionally frazzled. I mean, is a mild word for it, but I felt like I had completely lost the core of who I am as a person. Like I just wasn't functioning intellectually or emotionally, as I was just this husk of terror and disorientation,
Both from the fear and the lack of sleep. I would
exactly
imagine.
Yeah. And so, and finally on, I think it was like December 1st of last year, I hadn't had health benefits for a long time. And so finally on like December 1st, which is like, I don't know, 5 or 6 days into this kind of health crisis, I got health benefits through like low income health benefits here in the state of California, and like immediately I'm like, okay, I'm going to the emergency room like right away, and I mean, but
You said this was a couple weeks ago?
this was in like late November of last year
Oh,
that,
wait, I'm
that
sorry. All
this
right,
was
sorry.
happening.
Okay.
And so on December 1st, I was experiencing really this kind of like tunnel vision where it was really like all the color, metaphorically speaking, had drained out of life, and it was just the sense of just like an existence that was nothing more than just existing in the basest sense, and I was convinced that it was drawing to a close, and that at any moment, from lack of sleep and from respiratory issues, my heart was going to give out or something disastrous was going to happen. And I don't have a history of like what they I guess now call health anxiety or hypochondria, really, but this I like, and I googled things, and it was like,
boy.
I'd say heart failure,
Yeah.
or whatever, like just anyway, sheer terror. I
Well,
will go to the yeah.
The non-dire health predictions don't get as many clicks, right? So you can
Right. But what was remarkable was like I go to the emergency room, and and like they treat me, and they give me like this antibiotic treatment. I guess I had some sort of infection that was causing this, and almost immediately, like, it's like it was like this really kind of profound emotional and psychological experience where like life, it was like, oh, my life has potential again, and my life has like, I can see possibility for myself again, and like I want to live. And like I remember, because I don't have a car, so I took a lift to the hospital, and I remember being in the lift on the way back to my apartment from the hospital, and there was this like a big rig, 18-wheeler or whatever, on the highway beside us, and it kind of takes this off ramp and it goes off to who knows where. And I watched that, and I felt like weirdly like connected to just the vastness of life, and I'm like, who knows where it's going? It's bound for destinations unknown. And it just was like, it's like, that's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. It's like suddenly just everything seemed infused with like beauty and purpose and life again.
How long did that last?
It was a profound experience, all in all, I have to say.
Right, but how long did that new perspective last?
How long did that? I mean, that profound. I mean, I think in a way, like, there's a sense in which it's still going, in the sense that, to go back to what I was saying earlier, like, sort of almost directly from that is like that then comes the awareness of like, yes, I love life, or I can love life, but the things that would make my life meaningful are missing. And so now, like, how do I find those things so that I have the connections and that would lend my life, like, so I feel like my life is being witnessed and shared in some way, as opposed to just being kind of, experienced in a relative like isolation.
So it crystallized sort of what you feel like you need to be complete and to be content, right?
In a sense, yeah, absolutely. It absolutely crystallized that, and kind of prioritized like, oh, this really matters. And it was something I had known in the past, but I felt it with newfound kind of vigor in the wake of this experience.
That's awesome. I mean, it's not awesome that you had to go through that to get that perspective, but I can remember when I was maybe in my early 20s, waking up with intense chest pain and being scared shitless and driving to the ER. And on the way to the ER, I was like, you know what? I'll stop at a gas station. I'll get some Alka-Seltzer just in case. And I took the Alka-Seltzer, and within 10 seconds, the pain was just totally gone. And
oh, that's amazing.
Yeah. And then I was like, oh, Okay. And I had this flood of whatever the neurotransmitters were that was like, everything is going to be okay. And like you were mentioning, I was in a gas station, was not a particularly pretty gas station. And it's funny that you mentioned Edward Hopper, because I remember seeing it. I was like, look at the neon, like I was like seeing things kind of like an Edward Hopper painting, right?
Yeah.
But for me, that went away. Like maybe 3 days, I felt like that, and then I was back in the dumps again. I have trouble maintaining that. So I'm glad that
Sure.
you're able to hold on to even some part of it, right? I'm sure
Right.
I hung on to some part of it, but it's it's like that. What's the best thing about an elephant stepping on your toe, right? How good it feels when they get off. Which I'm going to disagree
Exactly.
with that, right? Like the pain you get when the elephant lifts his foot off your toe, that's really, really intense
Sure.
too.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I. So did that totally take care of the problem? Is that
Yeah, I
physically
mean,
the?
I've had lifelong like asthma and or complications, respiratory issues, and so I'm like on these like steroid inhalers and things, but so it's being managed, right?
Are you on a
And there's
prioritized vaccine list or anything?
Oh, I don't think so. No. I mean, obviously, I do have. I mean, I have a lot of well, we should all be concerned about getting COVID, but
Right.
I mean, I'm like, well, because of my history of respiratory issues, like, I think I feel like my risk of severe complications or death from catching it is, I'm particularly high risk. So I've been, when people are talk about like, I don't know, the sort of dismissal of they behave in ways that might put other people at risk in the name of their own kind of freedoms or whatever. I find that extremely troubling and off-putting because I feel like it's me, it's me you're putting at risk. But
And it's
so
not like
yeah.
people think like, well, oh, I've even heard people who would say stuff like, man, I hate this echo. Sorry. I'm going to do this. I think that will help if I have one ear out. Okay. I hear people who will rationalize it and say like, well, I don't go near at-risk people. I don't put at-risk people at risk. You don't, nobody knows. Like,
Right. Like it's not like we all have signs or something like yeah.
I
Give
mean,
me a
you
break.
might not even know. Like the person might not even know that they're
Of
at risk,
course.
right? So they might
Of
even be
course.
like,
Yeah.
"All right, yeah, sure, I'm fine hanging out with you because I'm not at risk either." But they are. They just don't know that they are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And the how is it out there now with like there's a new variant that's out there or fairly recent variant.
Yeah. I haven't, I haven't read the stories too closely. I mean, I see, the headlines in LA Times. I'm in the Bay Area, but I see that LA Times headlines of like California's new COVID strain is expected to be extremely, extremely dangerous. And, I'm like, okay, that's not good. And I don't even read further than that because I'm sort of like, I'm just going to keep taking the
Yeah.
precautions that I take and, do what I can do to avoid getting infected and look forward to, to a day when enough of us are vaccinated or whatever that future looks like where this isn't the looming constant issue that it currently is.
And that's the other thing about like, reasonably healthy people who are just like, well, I'll just get it. That's fine. I'll just get it and it'll be fine. You are a walking petri dish in which
Yeah.
to create mutations.
Right. Right. Absolutely.
So yeah, it is. There's so many reasons I don't understand. Well, I guess it's just selfishness, I guess, or not being very thoughtful, or not even really thinking it through. But whatever. That's hopefully not another near-death experience for either of us to reflect on.
Yeah. I could use a little break between my near-death experiences.
Yeah,
Maybe
give it a few
one every
years.
decade to remind me of my my love for life, is probably sufficient. Thank you
I
very
agree.
much. Yeah, yeah.
Is there anything else going on in your life, Carolyn? Anything you want to call out?
Uh,
Or
nothing. No, I mean, no, nothing. I really want to. I can talk. Nothing I can talk about publicly. Yeah, no, but I appreciate the opportunity to hop on and chat with you again.
No, it's always wonderful to talk to you,
Yeah,
Carolyn. So yeah.
yeah,
Thank you very much.
yeah. Have a good rest of your show, and thank you for the kind comments in chat, everyone. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. All right, cheers.
Have a good evening, Carolyn. Oh, that was great. I'm gonna. Well, no, actually, if I'm gonna talk to somebody else, I'm gonna have to listen to this. So let me real quick fix this lag, which I believe I can do. Oh, this is dangerous. I don't know. Is that gonna... Oh, okay. So that works for me. Shit. Doesn't work for the sounds coming from the... Hold on. We can fix this. I know we can. Okay. There we go. Now I got them both. All right. But I got just a little bit of echo. But let's see. Oh, see, now we have some other. Oh gosh. Well, we have someone new. So let's see if we can. All right. And have actually a couple new people. Remember that? Remember those days? Remember this? Remember berries? Remember berries? Remember that? Remember that? Remember when he would drink water and he'd hold his two little hands and he'd drink the little water? It's so cute. Oh, there's something I wanted to say before I move on to another caller. So whenever I can, I'm always trying to listen to audiobooks when the opportunities present themselves. And sometimes I will want to re-listen to audiobooks that are comforting in some way, or maybe I'm just, I don't want to pay that much attention, but I want noise on. I want someone speaking in my brain. So, I'll go back to a book that I've heard. So I have the total collection of all H.P. Lovecraft. And so I had that on, just kind of randomly picking stories. And I thought I had read every H.P. Lovecraft story. And this one came on. I'm not going to say the name of it yet, but this one came on that as I listened to it, I was like, this sucks. the title sounded good. The premise sounded good. And I was like, this is just not that good. And I was, wondering, like, how did this short story escape my notice before? And what is up with this this story. And I looked it up and I checked it out. I listened to the story and I was like, whatever. That was like all right, but nowhere near as good as his other stuff. It just was not that great. And it turned out the name of the story was, I think, The Mystery of the Graveyard or something like that. And it turned out that he wrote it when he was 8 years old. And this is his actual handwriting at 8 years old, writing The Mystery of the Graveyard, which I listened to and I was judgmental of, and I was like, what is wrong with this? What was he thinking when he wrote this? And when I was playing with Lincoln Logs, he was writing The Mystery of the Graveyard, a detective story, The Burns' Tomb. Yeah, and it was basically about someone who disappeared going into a mausoleum, and there's a secret spot where there's like a little magic door that turns and makes the person disappear into some underground tunnels or something. It was very primitive, but still, for an 8-year-old, it was pretty amazing. So we have somebody else here who's waiting in the green room and going to bring them on. This, I believe, is Lirio?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yes. Can you hear me?
Okay, well, my name is Emilio. I'm from Argentina. I've been watching the channel for a while now. And, well, I'll do a short introduction of myself, like the other people did.
First of all, so sorry, Emilio. Are you Lirio in the Lirio Adiguela, or is that?
Yes.
Okay, got it.
Yes, that's correct. That's my username. It's Video Lawa. I'm going to leave a quick hello so you can see it in the chat. That's my name. And, well, actually, my name is Emilio, but they used to call me Lirio in high school, so I adopted it as a nickname.
What does Lirio mean? Something? I don't.
I'm not sure if you can see me properly because the lightning.
I see a silhouette, which is kind of cool, actually, because your hair's kind of
Yes,
wild and it has this nice. Oh, well, there now I see.
Flower.
Yeah, that's better. If you don't really get the light in frame, I think it's better. Although you appear to be shirtless. I don't know if you're aware of that, Emilio. Which is fine.
Okay, I'm not sure. Yes, I know. Actually, it's sorry.
Emilio is, yeah, that is a beautiful name. Colorful Dreams is saying. Lirio is a type of flower. Okay, there we go. So yeah, did you have
The thing is, the rest of the house is on the outside of the frame.
You're kind of breaking in and out for me a little bit, but did you have a near-death story that you wanted to talk about? You're from Argentina. Where in Argentina? I'm sorry first.
I'm sorry. What did you say?
Where in Argentina are you? Oh, lost you. Lost you there.
Yes, I live in Argentina, in Buenos Aires. That's the capital city.
Oh, yeah.
Old Buenos Aires. It's the basically I've been living here my whole life, practically. Sorry.
You love it?
There is a lag, right? There's a lag between what I say and what you hear.
Are you able to? I kind of hear it okay.
Sorry.
Is it okay for you?
Me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Yes. Actually, before I continue, I wanted to say thank you for the space that you created for us.
Oh, I lost you. Your audio went out, Emilio. Your audio went out.
Okay.
I got.
Basically, I'm trying to send a quick thanks because I need to get back to work. Actually, I'm working right now,
Oh,
and my break is about to end in a minute or so.
okay.
Uh, so basically, I just wanted to say hello.
Oh man, that's really
Oh,
kind. Thank you very much, and thank you for watching and being a part of it. Right, like I didn't create anything. It's just you all created it. Um, it's just
hello. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Oh, you just went away. That was really sweet. I I was having trouble hearing him, but I think I got the idea of what he was saying. So that was, and he was on break, and about to come off break. So let's see where we can go. That was great, though. I have not spoken to him before. Oh boy. Oh boy. Here we go. No. Thank you very much, Lirio / Emilio. All right. We are. So this person always brings something to the table. I'm so paranoid. Like, whoa. Lexi, you're wearing a Junji Ito shirt? At least, can you send a picture of it or something? Is it, what is it of? Do we get like a spiral going into someone's head, or a spiral coming out of someone's head, or someone wrapped around into a spiral, or someone who's become boneless and is the embodiment, or a mass of insects that are in a spiral, which then True Detective kind of nicked, I think, maybe. I don't know for sure, but pretty close to the Junji Ito spiral. Oh, Tomi's head splitting. Oh yeah, that's a very Uzumaki. Yes, that is the Uzumaki guy. Which I've heard there's either a miniseries or coming out, a miniseries or a movie or a miniseries or something. I think it's Uzumaki. I think it is Uzumaki. Is the one with the spirals. The one with the spirals. I think the most disturbing of the three. But yeah. Miniseries. Are you saying this as a confirmation, Lexi, or are you excited that I said it, but you're taking it as fact? Because I don't know for sure. Okay, yes, it is a miniseries. Do you know, Lexi, is it live action? Oh, it's anime. Okay. Fantastic. Well, no, I'm more paranoid that like I'm going to get on a Zoom call or not know I'm on a Zoom call. Selkie, I have to say, it's a tough call, but if it's not it's in the top 3 for sure. And it is certainly the one that I think about the most, and I feel like the problem with True Detective season 1, in my opinion, is the last episode, which, I mean, the rest of it was so good that in my mind, overcomes the problems that I had with the last episode. But I did have problems with the last episode. I don't want to give away any spoilers, but I agree. And it's interesting because when they were first cast, when I first saw that they were cast as the leads, my reaction was, you cast the same person. Like these two actors compete for the same roles. They shouldn't be playing off each other. It's either like this is a Woody Harrelson character, or this is a Matthew McConaughey character. Matthew McConaughey is not available. Woody Harrelson comes in, right? Like that kind of thing. Oh yeah, the middle finger, the kind of lackadaisical, just, and the meetup, and the cinematography, and then the kind of the locked camera on the back of Cole's truck when they meet up, showing that the light is still broken from when they had the fight. So much. Oh, there's so much in that show that Fukunaga. I'm blanking on his first name. Is it Casey Fukunaga? Cary Fukunaga. So much that he brought to it that I think was him, and not necessarily Nick Pizzolatto, although obviously Nick Pizzolatto brought a whole lot to it. But Nick Pizzolatto also brought us True Detective Season 2, which is not even in my... I didn't. Not at all. I feel like it was a betrayal, and I don't want to go into too much why for people who haven't seen it, but for me the whole thing was building up to something that ended up very let's just say the big bad, for me the big bad was just like not worthy of that title. I even feel like fuck, man, I can't believe I'm blanking on this guy's name too. I blank on names when I'm on the spot. I even feel like Reggie Ledoux would have been a better big bad than the dude. Was there anything I liked about the second season? I mean, I liked Colin Farrell. I liked the Chinatowny. I mean, I liked the Chinatowny kind of vibe that the whole thing had. But the story was just awful, and this person's dead. No, they're not. That was terrible. I didn't like Vince Vaughn. There's a lot not to like about season 2, but it's that old canard, right? Like you have your whole, like musicians fall into, you have your whole life to write your first season, and then you had, 2 years to write your second. Something's gonna suffer. All right, so I replied to the people who called in. So kind of waiting. While we're waiting, well, yeah, of course I saw season 3, and yes, it was much better. But it was not season 1, but it was much better. There are some things I didn't like about season 3 too. So, gosh, why are you all keep saying harp? Are you telling me there's a harp? Where's the harp? I don't see a harp. Where's the harp? Oh, PG, you just gave away who it was, but I don't see it connecting. I have another guitar here, but it's a parlor-sized guitar. It's out of tune. Well, can I get in on the second joke, on the inside joke? That would be lovely to be in on the inside joke. Oh, I see. Okay, now I'm in on it. Guess who's here? You all know him as Mr. Jazz Cabbage. Or you may know him as PG. PG,
Hey, what's up?
how are you doing?
I'm good. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. It looks like your camera is inside a cabinet or something? Or
Yeah, so that's to solve a bit of an issue we had with the last guest. This light is unfortunately just a thing that I have to deal with. And
Perfect.
so I just have my microphone moved over a bit to block that out.
That's perfect. You're exposed for your face, and therefore you don't go into silhouette as it tries to auto expose for a light.
Right.
So what have you been up to?
Not much. As you can probably tell, I'm in the dorms now. And so we've got our quarantine procedures relating to that. So for this first 3 weeks, there's really nothing we can do. And then it opens up a bit after that.
What can you say where, or would you rather not?
New England, all the colleges have the same procedure there.
Okay.
So it's
Perfect. But very cold, and I see you have a Patagonia.
yeah, so it's about 30 out, and it's not supposed to be cold in here, but they decided that it would be a good time to do heat maintenance, and we're on a steam heating system. So it's just going to be a couple nights where we have to bundle up a bit.
I'm sorry, a steam heating system? Like radiators?
Yeah, so pretty much. At least the heat is provided to the building through steam, obviously. And then they circulate air through, I don't know how the system works, but then that air is then heated by the steam that is sent to the building.
Okay, but it's not radiant heat. It's actually, you have like the vent behind you that's up on the thing, like hot air.
Yeah, so
goes out of that.
That's connected to the AC system. The one relating
that's
to
not the heat.
heating is actually in front of me, behind the desk, and along the edge of the wall.
Got it. Okay. So you're going to have a few nights where you need to maybe keep that jacket on.
Yeah, I've got a plan. I'm going to go pajama pants, undershirt, robe, jacket.
Yeah, that's robe, then jacket?
Robe, then jacket.
Yeah.
Well, because if you've got the robe on over the jacket and you're trying to sleep in a robe, the problem with sleeping in a robe is that you'll toss and turn and it comes undone. If you put it under the jacket.
You've got this down. I know. So do you have a near-death experience? Somehow I'm not surprised. If you do.
I mean, no, I have one that's like not really my fault. And then I have a not near-death experience, but an injury that is probably more in line with what you would expect from me. But just starting with the near-death experience, I was for almost 2 years until I was 4. I lived in Denmark, and during that time, very early on, when I was about 3, I ended up drowning in a pool and having to get CPR.
Wait a minute.
So
yeah, I have questions about that. Or I don't know if you want to finish and then open up for questions, or if you want questions as you.
No, go for it, because there's not that much to it.
Well, how did you access the pool?
So I had floaties, and I could swim with floaties, but I didn't want to wear my floaties. And so the pool had one of those access ramps. I walked down that ramp and just took my floaties off and then just kept walking in. And I remember very vividly the scene of looking up through the water and people, going over me and swimming over me. So I must have managed to swim at least a little bit and then gotten out there and then sort of given up and sunk under.
So you remember that? Like that's...
Yeah.
At 4.
Yeah, I mean, I've got memories a bit earlier than that. I have a memory of being in a grocery store aisle, and my mother was picking out baby food, and she was getting the pear, and I didn't like the pear. I liked the meat flavored one, and so I was upset about that.
And not only do you remember it, but you had the presence of mind to know this is the pear that she's getting. I don't want the pear. I want the meat.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually pretty cool. But I guess it would make sense that your earliest memories, if they were like traumatic or extreme in some way, that those would be the ones that stuck with you. So you,
And also ones that have sort of an olfactory component to them.
oh yeah, because you had chlorine like up in your nose and in your.
Yeah, that was it burned a lot.
Do you have a problem with chlorine now, like chlorinated pools?
Not really. I mean, I don't particularly like swimming, but I don't particularly like swimming in the ocean either. And it's not even a fear of it. It's just I don't find it to be an enjoyable thing, really. It's sort of a situation where it feels like you're giving up control and you're not getting much in return for that.
You're talking about the ocean specifically there when you say giving up control.
Right. The
Okay.
ocean specifically, because obviously in a pool, you're not really risking much.
So did they tell you afterwards, or I would imagine this is a story that was kind of told as you got older. Do you know, like, how did your heart stop? How bad was it? Do you know?
It was about as not bad as it could have been while still requiring CPR. They said the lifeguard, he picks me up and he hoists me into the air like
To try
like
and
I'm Simba or something.
to try and get the water out of your lungs. So, yeah, right, like a.
I think he was just at that point. I think he was just coming up from the bottom of the pool really fast
Gotcha.
and trying to get me above water as soon as possible. And it was after that they realized that a little more was needed on top of that.
So the lifeguard administered CPR,
Right.
and then you regained consciousness.
I don't remember regaining consciousness or anything shortly after that, which is unsurprising.
Did you
given
go to the hospital?
whole-
Was the
Yeah, they didn't really do much though. It just sort of, that's the kind of thing where when you're, I would assume that anyone would end up going to the hospital after a situation
there's
like that.
thing called delayed drowning, right? Are you familiar with that?
I am not.
So it's you can actually, and apparently this is not all that uncommon, have a near-death drowning experience and die the day after. I forget what the actual biological mechanism is. Let me be sure I'm not making this up in my head. And this may be like delayed drowning or secondary drowning. It causes edema. It can be even days after the contact with water. Right. So then it gets edema and the air sacs prevent oxygen from entering the bloodstream. So you can actually suffocate like a day after. I think it's a fairly recently acknowledged phenomenon. So maybe they didn't know about it back then. And in your case, probably I don't want to say it's good. You made it through, so you were fine. But it probably would have been much scarier, right? If you're like, oh God, like to me, what's so scary about that is like, you feel okay, but there's no way for you to know if this edema is actually happening. And if 12 hours, 24 hours from now, all of a sudden your blood is just not going to get oxygenated. It's a very scary thought.
Yeah. And well, also when you're 3, you don't really have the presence of mind.
No.
To be afraid of things like
but
that.
Your parents would have been like, that would have been 24 hours, I think, of them like being like, oh gosh, or whoever did I don't want to.
I was with my parents at the time, although one of them was almost constantly working. So it was really just one of them who was watching us at that.
Well, either way, I think you're outside the window. I think you're outside the window for delayed drowning at this point. But that sucks. That sounds like, I mean, I don't want to say that you would have loved swimming otherwise, but it had to have had some kind of psychological effect. And does the smell of chlorine just kind of do anything negative to you now?
I mean, I've always disliked the smell of chlorine. I don't know if I particularly disliked it more after that event, but I always associated it with sort of a burning feeling because
Ah.
I would always open my eyes underwater. And
Yeah.
so,
Yeah. So what is the story that you think would be more stereotypically PG, but maybe not as dangerous?
So I was trying to work on a way to get aluminum out of soil, and maybe by a process that would end up converting it into some sort of solid to sort of chelate it. And it's been a few years. I forget the exact formula I came up with.
Why were you trying to do that?
So it was for a class. It was soil acidification is a massive problem, and one of the issues is that you get soil acidified, and then you get reactive aluminum ions, and those ions are uptaken by plants and mistaken for other ions, and then they essentially get incorporated into systems and don't allow them to function.
Can they actually kill? Is it that?
Yeah, it's a massive problem. Areas with soil acidification, the aluminum content is a real problem.
So to be able to chelate aluminum out of soil would do a lot to address, like, is that the kind of reason? Is that why crops are rotated? Is that one of the reasons? Because it becomes acidic?
Maintaining the integrity and health of soil is really the point of crop rotation. And if you don't do that, then you are able to have rain washing soil out, and the quality of that goes down, and you can end up with more acidic soil.
Okay.
But it's also to things like nitrogen and other nutrients to get those back into the soil. Because if you don't, essentially the Dust Bowl is a lesson in not taking care of your topsoil. But the task I was assigned was essentially figuring out a way to either deacidify soil or remove aluminum ions from soil. And I thought I had figured out a way to do both of those. It ended up, well, I never really tested it in actual conditions on actual soil because the amount of soil that would have to be processed was not something I was capable of. But just setting it up chemically, what I ended up was with something that bore a lot of similar characteristics to thermite. And so I thought, oh, well, it's similar to thermite. I'll just test it out. And it'll burn pretty hot and it'll be fun. And so I set up so I put it in a ceramic dish and I set up two electric lines to ignite it. And I do that. And instead of just sort of igniting and melting, it just violently explodes and puts a piece of the dish through my thigh, just under the skin, passing clean through.
Wow. Didn't hit your femoral, obviously, because you're...
No, it didn't hit anything important. It just made a fun little hole that had to be addressed.
Gosh. And this was in a lab?
No, this was, I thought I was being safe about this. I was standing about 30 feet back out in the middle of a field.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
What are the odds? Like, and that could have 30 feet away. Yeah, I mean, you're very lucky that it went through your thigh and didn't hit you center mass or something, right?
Yeah.
And it just went clean through.
Yeah, because it was close to the surface, right at the curvature of the thigh, and so it didn't have too much to go through, but it did just go straight through. Yeah, but that was, I'm sure that could have been worse than it was, but ceramic also doesn't make a very good projectile. So if it had hit me, in the stomach or something,
I don't think it would have dispersed its energy.
I don't think it would have been that bad. I think it probably would have shattered. And I think because it would shatter, it wouldn't be as bad as it could be.
Well, hollow point bullets, aren't those basically built to shatter? And
right, but they shatter to a certain extent, whereas a ceramic is something that is going to shatter far beyond it. A hollow point bullet, you get 6 or 7 pieces when you shoot someone.
A ceramic might just kind of turn into 1,000 little.
Like you can grind ceramic into dust. You can't
Yeah.
grind a bullet into dust. You know what I mean?
So, okay, so once that was done, once that happened, did you continue doing experimentation to try and get aluminum out of soil?
No, because that was like I had written the paper at that point. That was just sort of a fun little. I wonder if it'll do this because chemically it really looks like it should, and then it didn't.
And so you were expecting essentially like it to burn kind of like a sequential, like in a line or something, right? Like did you have it arranged
So
in a certain?
what should have happened is because it had a high aluminum, or I say what should have happened, but what I expected was that because of it having a high aluminum content and it having characteristics similar to thermite, what would happen is that it would burn really hot and you would end up with a lot of molten aluminum at that area, and the other components would then leave as gases. And so when you have, in a normal thermite, you have, or I guess the most common kind, you end up with just molten metal, and that'll burn through whatever you've got it on. And my expectation is that this would do the same. But of course, it did not end up going that way.
Like that immediately put me in the mind of fulgurites. Fulgurites, when lightning strikes sand and
Right.
kind of instantly, melts it, and you have these.
Mhm.
You can see the shape of them beneath the ground when you pull them out. That's something that always fascinated me. But yeah, we all know from Star Wars that thermite is bad, right? The work that you do sort of generally puts you in the line of fire. It's also interesting to me, and was always interesting to me, like when I was younger too, when I was thinking about like, oh, should I go into the hard sciences, the number of scientists, I don't know, I feel horrible saying this, but the number of scientists who would get like really rare, like blood cancers, and sometimes even like multiple rare blood cancers. And I would always just wonder, like, what are they being exposed to, or what were they exposed to that they didn't even know, right? Or they didn't know it was going to have this kind of effect, but it was just sort of a hazard of the job, right? So I don't know how careful you are. How careful are you with that stuff?
Well, so the stuff I focus on now doesn't involve accidentally making explosives, and really couldn't, I don't think. And it's really one of the nice things about working with genetic modification is that it's actually very hard to genetically modify something. And so it's almost impossible to accidentally genetically modify yourself in any way, because you're not designing something to target humans most of the time. And so if you inject it, it's not going to work for you. And so there's really not any risk involved at this point.
Good. I'm glad. And that also reminds me of, I think I actually just read today that there was some report on the state of topsoil in the greater United States, in lower 48. And apparently like 1/3 of it, or up to 1/3 of it, is no longer usable. Some very large amount of farmland is now just completely unusable. It's been all of the former prairie grass that prior to it being plowed that made it this wonderful, nutritious topsoil has now been eaten up. And that made me think of Interstellar. And then, of course, when I think of Interstellar, I have to go watch Interstellar reaction videos because have you seen Interstellar, PG?
I've seen Interstellar. I'm not a huge fan of reaction videos. I'm not sure what Interstellar reaction videos really are.
I basically just watch them. I skip to the parts, like I like to see how people react to certain parts of that movie, right? So I don't just sit there watching someone watch the whole movie. I will be like, oh, how are they going to react to when they find out that, well, without any Interstellar spoilers, when they find out these certain things are linked that they didn't think maybe were linked at the beginning. Are they going to get emotional? Because I find that movie pretty darn emotional. It's largely due to the soundtrack, I think, which I find phenomenal. But yeah. So anyway, yeah, that was a tangent. But
Yeah, well, there's actually one other topic I wanted to discuss. Remember a few months ago when I said the methane over Siberia was going to be a problem?
yes.
So the thing that tore the polar vortex in half and threw it down on Texas was an anticyclone of warm air that formed over Siberia.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Um, anyway, the methane there has actually gotten worse in this period of time and is now at the point where you have pressure explosions happening in the permafrost because it's no longer enough to hold back the methane trapped within it. And so we're probably going to see more destabilization of the polar vortex in the coming years.
So you're saying the cause of the Texas freeze is actually traceable to a singular event or a singular state in a particular place?
Right. Yeah. Singular event is it's a prolonged period of activity. But so there's two ways essentially that climate change affects the polar vortex. One is that there's general instability created by increased amounts of warm air encroaching on the polar vortex, and that causes it to destabilize and change its shape and drift down into lower latitudes at certain longitudes. And the other way is what we saw happen here, where enough warm air gets together to form an anticyclone and has the energy it takes to actually just force its way all the way to the pole and displace the vortex entirely.
Oh, gotcha.
So
and it's got to go somewhere, right?
Right. And so what we've seen, the media has really overused the term polar vortex, and it has really just sort of used it to refer to any large storm. But what we've seen in the past few decades is just the polar vortex destabilizing and dipping down lower than it should. And this is the first time in quite a while that it's been actually just ripped in half and had part of it thrown all the way down to Texas.
But probably not the last.
No, undoubtedly not the last, because there's been the increased release of methane from permafrost, and two, they've now confirmed an increase in methane being released from the ocean floor. And they actually recently did a study where they found there is a massive repository of methane on the ocean floor that we didn't know about before that hasn't even been accounted for in any of our projections when it comes to global warming. So I would expect in the next few months to see several papers coming out factoring that into their projections, and that we're going to have a more dismal outlook than we have, even compared to what we already have.
Great. That's, I mean, obviously it's better to know than to not know, right? Does this have anything to do with the locust plagues that are going on right now?
I mean, so climate change is definitely tied to ecological changes, and certain conditions favor certain species. And so my understanding, I don't know exactly the specifics of it, but my understanding is that climate change is creating inhospitable conditions for competitors to the locusts, and that it is causing them to swarm more frequently.
Yeah, and also apparently it's destroying a lot of their food sources, which forces them closer together, which increases their reproduction rate. So
right.
I guess that's also contributing just to the sheer massive number of them. But it's very biblical kind of sounding, you know, that's it's all scary, and I feel like it's easy, especially in the United States, or let's say North America or the Americas or whatever, to kind of say it's over there, right? Like it's,
well, especially because our locusts don't swarm.
Well, why is that? I actually don't know anything about that. Why?
They're just a different species, and it's
But-
not a behavior they exhibit.
But I wonder if, okay, well, then, well, maybe we don't have to worry about it then.
Not here, but it's gonna. They're gonna have to worry about it there.
Man, I just want it to, I don't want it to be like Interstellar, but I'm drawing everything back to Interstellar, right?
Well, Interstellar I always found funny because if you think about the number of people we have on this planet and how large, let's just say, how large of a container could we build? Doesn't even have to fly. Just what is the largest container we could build that would be able to house people and not fall apart? And now let's say that we can get that into space somehow. We still couldn't build enough of those to actually evacuate the population of the country.
Yeah, but
into
that was
space.
never the actual plan, right? Well,
For
now we
Interstellar,
just
no.
spoiled it.
But when people talk about space travel relating to climate change, they're usually talking about Elon Musk
Right.
saving us all by taking
No.
us to Mars.
It would have to
And-
be seeding a new colony,
Right.
and we would just have to say goodbye, right?
But so
Yeah.
also there's that sequence at the end of Interstellar where they've got the, well, has anyone not seen Interstellar? You've all seen Interstellar at this point, yeah?
Well, are you going to talk about the sort of magical ending that it had?
Yeah, yeah.
The
The big round boys.
big round boys.
Large tubes of living.
How do I not know what you're talking about?
It's
Okay.
okay.
I know what you're talking. The stations.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm thinking of like some Lovecraftian tube of flesh
No,
kind
no,
of
no.
thing.
But essentially, that whole idea of like having that, like that's not something that's feasible and that we're going to be able to do, and that wasn't even them taking the entire population with them.
Right.
Although, was it? Because it really didn't seem like anybody got left behind when they're talking about those stations.
I think they probably didn't go into that on purpose, maybe. But
Because
yeah,
it'd be pretty messed up if they section off several acres for a museum and then just left people behind.
well, it might not have been a lack of space, right? Maybe there were other reasons. I don't know. It didn't go into it, right? It just was kind of hitting you with the feels of Murph and hoping that would let it gloss over some of the maybe more technical questions of like, well, what does this mean for what did that ending actually mean for the residents of Earth, right? Not just the super privileged ones who created the solution for. It's really hard to talk about. Okay, spoilers are over. Sorry, no spoilers. But I do recommend. I think Interstellar is, in spite of its faults, a beautiful and touching movie. And if you like reaction videos, it's funny to watch people react.
Actually, it's funny you brought up Lovecraft in relation to it a few minutes ago. And if you go on Netflix, there's a show called Knights of Sidonia, which is basically just the generation ships plus Lovecraft. And it's
Knights of what?
Sidonia.
Like CYDO?
No, SID. Yeah. And I won't say it's good, and it's like Netflix first foray into a fully CGI thing, and so it's kind of it's super janky, but it's got a certain charm to it in the fact that it is uniquely horrifying at points in what they show and how they show it.
Horrifying for the right reasons or the wrong reasons?
For the right reasons, yeah. It's not shock value. It just manages to be a show that intends to deeply unnerve you and generate fear in relation to certain concepts, and succeeds in doing that very well.
I'm gonna check it out. I may have trouble getting by the if it's bad CGI, I may have trouble getting past that.
So my way of thinking about it, which has helped with a lot of these Netflix shows where it's like the CGI is kind of weird, is that if you look at the subject matter they're doing, and then you look at how sort of odd and strange the visuals are, it kind of fits with it. Even though you know it's like supposed to be different, the jankiness just kind of works with it.
You're saying the visual uncanny valley is in line with the rather dismal outlook or whatever. I don't know exactly what this is about, right? But that there's, but you're assuming a lot of good intent there, right? You know, you're assuming that like that was what they intended, right?
Oh no, they didn't intend that at all. It's terrible. They really were. This one was made just when Netflix, or at least the people they were hiring to make these, was just getting their CGI figured out. And there's, I think there's 2 or 3 other shows on Netflix like that before they really started to get it down.
Like they did CGI humans.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's even Pixar started with toys, right? You gotta. There went a guitar.
Well, give it a shot, because I think you'll see what I mean about how like the uncanniness fits the setting and sort of adds to the feeling of emptiness. Really,
I will do that. Thank you, PG. I appreciate that, and thank you for sharing both of those stories. They're talking to you is always super interesting. So yeah, I appreciate it, and I hope that the heat comes back on soon. You know, for your dorm there.
I'm actually pretty good with this right now. It's pretty it's working pretty fantastic.
Well, Patagonia is and that looks like one of those. Is that down?
Oh yeah, it's like.
Or is it synthetic?
Yep.
Yeah. So I'm always been amazed by like how they can make those super thin things that are so warm, but
Mm-hmm.
that they kind of feel like 2 garbage bags with like some stuff quilted together right between them, but they work really well. I mean, look at space blankets.
I think like the squares they have here are also isolated from each other, so that if like one square is compromised somehow, it doesn't get into the others.
Oh, well, I don't know the technology behind it, but all right, PG, I'm gonna say good night, but thank you very much for calling in again. I appreciate it, and I hope the world is still around and we're able to be talking 20 years from now. So yeah, have a good night and take care. Okay.
See ya.
All right. Good night. That's PG, who, maybe we should call him R or PG-13. Because, it is what he works on is super, super important. But it's super, super, it's a downer to think about. Right? But that's exactly why we got to keep thinking about it. Right. And I feel like I learn a lot every time I talk to him. So let's see, what else can I ramble on about for a little bit? I feel like let's check. Still okay. Let me see if I can do this. Actually do this right. Let's see if this works. Can you hear me? How far away do I sound? Now this should be right. I don't know if it is, but it should be. Which means I can play what I was going to play last time. the Pazuzu head out here as well. It's probably a little bit quiet, I'm guessing. It's still not right. So I've been playing, I've just learned this over the past couple of weeks. I've been playing classical guitar for a long time, and I only just started getting right-hand harmonics. Like I would always just do that, which I still like. I don't really see the benefit of doing a right-hand harmonic. I guess if your left hand is doing a bunch of stuff. But I would always just. I found it weird that escaped my bag of tricks for so long. And I'm now just getting the hang of it. But anyway, in case this is not working, let's. All right. Did that work? I have no idea. Yeah, it was probably very quiet, but that is such is life. Where is the frog? I think the frog is in the basement. Yeah, I think I have a little work to do to get that to actually be right. And I took a shower shortly before the stream, which is why my hair is kind of crazy. Das Grandpa's guitars. Well, I'm experimenting and, trying to expand beyond the confines of this room. So, there's going to be a learning curve there for me, and you all will be subject to it as well. The frog's not dead. The frog's around somewhere. I just don't know. What? I got this. You want this? Can I have this? Amy, I responded to you. I responded to you with the link to go to. Like that, how it works is it's just a link you go to, and then, yeah, I responded to you. Actually, 2 responses. I do call it crazy hair. This hair feels crazy to me, and it's at the length now where it just is starting to curl up at the back and do all kinds of stuff that I can't really control Well, so, I mean, I've had the wallet for a year. You know, still working the way it's supposed to be working, I guess. Make of that what you will. I'm neither going to endorse nor cast aspersions at the Ridge wallet. I do use it though. And if you do use it, if you decide a Ridge wallet is for me, you know, obviously use the code faux sale so that I can buy a coffee. I don't think I get anything from that. Oh, wow. My neighbors don't have dogs, but it sounds like there's a dog very close. All right. Well, I hate to. I know, Amy, you're not ignoring me, but I'm not getting. It might not be working for PG. That's about right. Oh. Wait, no, this is not Amy, but this is someone who has not been on before. However, I cannot see them. All I see is like a blur. Person who just called in, you're just a blur. There's something wrong with your. Oh, you just hung up. If y'all could please stand back, stand by. Get this fixed in a minute. All right, trying this again. Okay, I no longer a blur. So this is somebody who's new. I don't believe that we have spoken before. I don't think. Forgive me if that's not true. But welcome. She'll be familiar to everybody in the chat. This is Olevy. Olevy,
Hey.
hello.
Hello.
Can you hear me okay?
Mm-hmm. Can you hear me okay?
It's a little soft, but I'm turning you up on my end.
Let me turn my mic up. Okay. Is that better?
I think. Can you say what's your name and where are you from?
I don't really give out my real name to people, so.
Or
but I'm
your
from
first name, or
Maryland.
what do you want to be? You want to be called Olevy?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you say whereabouts you're from?
Yeah, I live on the Eastern Shore.
The Eastern. I don't know what that is. The Eastern Shore, like Jersey.
Well, you know, there's a Bay Bridge in Maryland, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I live on the other side of the Bay Bridge. Like,
Oh, okay.
if you go to like Kent Island and all that kind of stuff. But I went to school in Baltimore.
Oh wow! So you could probably drive to like Chincoteague Island pretty quickly. Right?
Yeah, I'm actually really close to Delaware. Actually, I have another home in Delaware. So.
Oh, that must be nice.
No, it was kind of left over from my marriage before, and we just kept it because my two youngest, they went to college in Delaware, so they stayed there. So I just kept the house so they could stay
Oh
there.
wow! So how are you doing this evening? It's nice to meet you
I'm
face
hot.
to face.
I'm like really hot for some reason. I don't know why.
Yeah.
It's hot in this house. So I've been working a lot all day. My parents were staying here and they're moving into their new house. So I finally have some peace and quiet so I can get some work done. So I'm just moving furniture around still and stuff. So.
But so you're at
Yeah.
your house, but your parents were staying with you for.
Yeah, yeah, because they're moving to Delaware. Actually, they're moving to Dover, and then they wanted to wait until they got their immunizations before they started moving stuff around. So now they moved the dining room the past couple days. They've been moving that out, so I'm trying to just move stuff.
Do you know Joe Biden?
He's my cousin, remember?
Oh, right. You did say something about like you made a joke,
Yeah.
but I don't know if it was.
You have to excuse this blur back here. These lights, they're really bright.
Just
some reason.
looks like a cat. You look properly exposed. I mean, that yeah, looks good.
The light's reflecting off of it really bad for some reason.
Well, it happens. So
Oh,
do you have a
here.
near-death experience? Oh my gosh, you're kidding me, really? No, that's a 12-ounce. No, that's a mini one.
No, they're the little ones.
Yeah.
I like them because I don't drink a whole one before it goes flat or gets warm, so it works.
That's the
works
exact
good.
same reason. Yeah, same
Mm.
reason. I can't drink it fast enough. I can't drink the 12-ounce fast enough, and I don't really
I don't
want
need
to
all
drink
that
12 ounces
sugar
of Coke.
anyway.
Yeah, it's too much. Do you have a near-death experience that you wanted to talk about or share?
I have several of them.
Oh
I don't know
gosh.
which one do you want? My latest one.
Or give
Um,
us give us what you think is the most dramatic one.
God, they're all bad. I've had several bone marrow biopsies, and that's been kind of scary because I wasn't really dying, but it was still like the fear that I could have died, and
Isn't that super
yeah, so
painful?
it was horrible. It was really bad. Like I was like literally like shaking on the table. My mom was there like holding my hand, but it was.
Oh, that's terrible. But they ended up coming back okay? Are you okay?
No, this was back in 2011. I think I finally got diagnosed with leukemia.
Oh my gosh.
So, but it's slowly progressing leukemia. I mean, I'm fine. My doctor's in Annapolis. He's great. I've been going to him for years, and yeah, as long as I keep my immune system straight, I'm good. I mean, I recently finally put some weight back on. I was like 2 years ago. I was like 93 pounds, so I was
Wow. How tall are you?
almost 5'6", I think.
Oh yeah, so geez, 93. Yeah, that's very, very thin.
Yeah. Everybody was like, because I don't tell a lot of people that I'm sick. I mean, I do more now, but some people don't know, and they were like asking my parents if I was on heroin and stuff like that. So I was trying to gain weight because I was tired of people like saying stuff to my family, and it was kind of embarrassing.
Is that a result of the treatment or is that a result of the disease itself?
No, wait, it's chronic lymphocytic leukemia. So weight loss is probably the second major thing, and like I said, I got diagnosed in 2011, so I've had it for a while.
Wow.
Yeah.
That must have been hard to hear, though, right? I mean, obviously, yeah. So, do you have like near-death experiences resulting from this that you've?
No, it's just that whenever I get sick with anything really bad, I have that thought, because usually what you die from with it is a result of your immune system crashing. So like
Like a
if I got the
secondary
flu really
infection or
bad,
something,
I'm like,
or-
this is it. I'm done. I'm done. I'm going. But I haven't gotten sick for the past 2 years, like really bad. So I've done really good. I
Are
do a
you-
lot of stuff to keep my immune system good though. So.
Are you on like are you on the list for the vaccine? Or,
I haven't gotten it yet though.
but you're I don't know how, like I know different states, they stratify differently, right?
My doctor's office told me I was at the top of the list, but they haven't gotten them yet. So.
Wow. Yeah, I don't know how Maryland is doing. I just know Virginia, obviously.
But that's not really a fun near-death experience. Like the one that when I really thought I was gonna die was like 2014. It was like July. I was working a night shift. I worked at a residential facility, and I was there by myself with a schizophrenic patient who pulled a knife out, a steak knife, and stabbed me. So. Not really bad, just in my arm. But then he proceeded to take the knife and stick it and pretty much gut himself right in front of me. So that started my big struggle with PTSD and like my anxiety and all that kind of stuff. So
Wow. Holy crap.
yeah.
That is, I don't even know what to say to that. That's, so
Well, it shouldn't have happened. I told them that he was too sick to be in a residential facility. He needed to be locked up. I mean, he did.
Can I ask, did he die?
No. As a matter of fact, they re-released him, and the doctor that worked the opposite shift from me, he couldn't believe it. He was just like, I can't believe this, but he did it again, except this time he did it with an ink pen. After
With a
he
what?
came back, he jabbed himself with an ink pen. He just kept trying to stab himself, like injure himself, and then he came back, and even though I was a counselor there, I was the only one that happened to be a nurse as well. Even though I wasn't hired there to be a nurse, I still had my nursing credentials. So he came back with a colostomy bag and all that. So I ended up having to take care of him again during all that. It was, I think they finally, after I left there, he walked into the actual club, like where all the administrators were and stuff like that, and proceeded to do it in front of everybody, like at the day program. And a lot of people quit. I mean, they just had enough. And I think they finally, I don't know where he is now. I don't care, really. I hate to be that way, but...
Well, it's understandable. I mean, that's...
I don't know if you've heard that country song, My Give a Damn is Busted. That's how I was for a long time. Like, I didn't want to take care of people. I didn't want to have to do anything where I had to nurture somebody or take care of them. I just had enough, and that's all I had done since I was 17 years old, was work in healthcare or do anything like that, and I was just done.
So so you have PTSD from this. I don't want to talk about it if it's gonna like trigger.
Oh, I don't mind
anything.
talk. I don't mind talking about it. I've done a lot of work through it, and I realized that I don't think you ever get rid of PTSD. I don't think it ever goes away. I think you learn to live with it, and then you realize what your triggers are, and you just kind of say, oh, for a while, like helicopters did it because of the medevac. When it came, anytime I heard a helicopter, it would be like really bad. And now I can hear a helicopter. They just happen that Dover Air Force Base is like en route, so the planes and everything goes. Like,
Yeah, I
over
mean
my house.
anywhere near DC and Annapolis too, right? You're gonna hear stuff flying.
Yeah,
over.
well, I'm like smack in the middle of both those places pretty much, and so now I can hear a helicopter, and it'll remind me of it. But I'm like, oh, I'm good, you know. So.
But are you seeing someone? Like, do you see a psychiatrist or a psychologist?
Not anymore. Nope.
Because you
I have a degree in psychology now. I'm my own psychologist.
Oh, okay. So.
No, I'm not. I maybe I should see somebody. I don't know. I had enough of therapists and all that kind of stuff. I'm just.
It seems like so. Yeah, I kind of agree with you. Like, I feel like therapy is has a ceiling, sort of, where it just can't do anymore, apart from pharmacologically, right? But you can only talk about something so much, right? Like it's.
Yeah, and I didn't have good experiences. The psychiatrist, well, he was not a psychiatrist, he was a psychologist. He was specialized in trauma, and I saw him for a good 2.5 years after it happened, and then I started to get better, and he wanted to start his private practice and stuff, and he knew that I had done medical administration and that kind of stuff, so I started doing some billing for him and became less of his patient, more of his employee, and in the process of all this, I was getting a divorce, so that wasn't fun. And once my divorce was final, I maybe went to, I was also editing a book for him, because that's what I do now. I do copy edit and stuff like that. So anyway, that proceeded into him trying to hit on me, and then it became like, you know, I told him I don't want anything to do with you like that. I was trying to be nice because he was really good to me. You know, he was a great therapist, but it was like the only person at the time that I was trusted. And then when he did that to me, it kind of just destroyed me, because then he got, like, he wouldn't take no for an answer, and then he kept coming to my house, and I mean, I finally had to get shitty with him, and it kind of broke my heart.
It almost seems like that
because-
would just be almost undo any work that or any progress that was made.
It kind, I don't think it did completely, because the tools that he gave me, as far as, because he did, like, I did sort of like hypnosis, and I learned how to meditate, and that's how I got into all that kind of stuff, and the tools that he gave me proved to be invaluable, you know, that kind of stuff. But as far as me thinking, wow, was he did he really mean what he said when he would talk about, how smart I was when I was, doing his research and his books, and like he would read my papers and stuff when I was in college, and just, I mean, I know I got good grades, but he would really talk about like how smart, and I'm like, did he really mean all that? I mean, does it really matter, or was he just saying that because he,
Right.
because he pretty much told me that he was in love with me, and I'm like, ew. I mean, he was old, like
Yeah.
old,
Well,
like nasty.
so I think the problem there might have been, or you would have maybe been worse off if the tools became triggers, right? Because if you associated meditation with this person, and that actually, could actually set off more PTSD. Like even
I
the
never
of
thought
doing
about it
meditation.
like that, but thank you.
Oh,
Thanks for
crap.
no, I never thought about that, because they're mine. They're
Yeah.
and he'll probably be dead soon. So I hate to be that way, but I
Well,
just don't care.
There are some people that, well, I won't go there. So, gosh, so you've had a rough decade.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you're feeling pretty good now?
Mhm. Yep.
And how are you
I-
dealing with the pandemic, quarantine, isolation, all that stuff?
It didn't really make that much difference to me. I worked from home anyway, so it just I had so much to do with my children because they were in college, and my son, he was in Germany, and now he's in Belgium, and I was trying to get his paperwork straight for that, and then my daughter was going to her second college, and she was trying to go to Georgia, and that didn't work, and between that and trying to take care of my parents because they're elderly and they both have health problems and they can't do anything on their own anymore.
Wow.
So I moved to their farm, and then they moved to a house because they can't take care of it anymore. So I have plenty to do,
Wow.
and I'm here on the water, and it's nice.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're on the Chesapeake. Chesapeake?
I'm on the Chester River, which is part of the Chesapeake. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I don't know the exact area, but every time I would go over that bridge, which is for me a scary as hell bridge.
Yeah, that was another fear I had to get over because I had to go over it every day to go to school. So it was.
Every day, yeah. Especially if it was raining or stormy or something, I think I might.
Oh, the beach traffic was the worst. I started not scheduling my classes on Fridays. I learned that after my second semester. I was like, no more.
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, like the Chesapeake Bay Bridge, it's just a really long, high bridge with like a 90-degree curve in the middle of it, and it just, especially when you're going towards the 90-degree curve, and you don't. I mean, it's not a 90-degree curve like that, but it curves about 90 degrees. But you're kind of just looking straight out over this bay that you can't see anything but water, and you're also quite high. It's just an intimidating bridge.
It's listed as one of the scariest bridges in the world.
Is it? And part of that is it doesn't have like those reassuring, until like the end, it doesn't have those reassuring girders going up the side or anything. It's just like a road with like these, the kind of sides that you would expect to see that would maybe be like, oh, we don't really want you to go off into the shoulder. Like it doesn't look that like it would. If you really wanted to drive off that bridge, I have a feeling you could.
Somebody jumps off of it like once a week at least.
That makes perfect sense. But then once you get to that, well, if you're going out, you get to the area with all the girders, and it's more like what you would think of as a standard kind of bridge, and then it starts to feel safer. But it's that part that's just kind of out there in the middle of nowhere that is pretty frightening for me. Anyway.
What I had to do was just look at the car in front of me and not look to the sides, because if I looked to the sides and would see how high I was, and once I would get to the part where it would start going down when I was coming back onto the eastern shore, I would feel it like, because I'm afraid of heights. And bridges, when I have nightmares, that's what my nightmares are about, bridges.
Wow.
I hate them.
Yeah.
But I wanted to go to school so bad. I wanted to go to UMBC so bad. I was willing to do it. It's like,
I stopped going to college because the parking was bad, so you were much more dedicated.
I left Yale to come back here.
Oh, wow.
I did not. I I was solid with that school. Like when I decided to go back to school, I went back and took like prereqs and stuff at AACC, and Anne Arundel Community College, which is the best community college in the world. I love that school. So I kind of went in this program where it took you right into the thing, but then I ended up getting this scholarship that I won from doing this ethics thing, and I was like, okay, well, I'll try this out. And I was like, no, I liked the classes. I took some cool classes in like philosophy and religion and that kind of stuff, and I liked it, and I learned a lot, and the teachers are great, but not my thing.
Yeah, but I mean, it sounds like you've been pretty successful in everything that you do, so that's awesome. And you're at a point now where you're okay, you're stable, I guess.
Yeah, like I said, I do copy edit and research I work for Bloomberg Media. I don't know if you know. So yeah, I do research for them, mostly like pharmaceutical stuff. I had to learn a lot about the stock market and stuff really quick, which I hate math and all that, but it's not the same. It's not really like math. It's I mean, in a way it is, but it's not. It's more research and just putting other people's numbers all together and then giving it to them. So
could you tell me a little bit more about that? So I'm not quite clear. You were managing people's or presenting people's portfolios for pharmaceutical stocks?
Somehow there are people that are trying to do startups and also marketing directed towards doctors and stuff. And what I do a lot are what they call psychographic profiles. So they'll give me a type of doctor and want to know how old they are when they invest, when they have kids, especially like I just had to do research not that long ago on infectious disease doctors and try to get very specifics to doctors that specialize in AIDS. Where are most of them working? How old are they? Where are they concentrated to? And what becomes hard is that you can't find a doctor that specifically does that thing. So then you look at infectious disease, and when they want if you try to look up, well, how old are they when they have children? You're not going to find it on just that specific doctor. So then you have to go look at other doctors, and then you kind of have to put all the information together, average it out, and say, well, we can speculate that this, and make all these guesses based on all these different facts about, where should you market this drug to, and all this kind of stuff.
Okay. I got you. Or I think I got you. Yeah. Well, I mean, and the stuff that you said you also do copy editing?
Yeah, so then sometimes I'll just get other people's work when they write a whole brief for whatever kind of report they do, and then they just send it to me. Those are my favorite. I love doing that. And I just go through and fix it up, check the grammar on it and stuff like that. And work got really bad probably at the end of the summer. Everything just dropped off. So I went on Upworks and I started doing copy editing and like freelance on there, and they were writing books. And I was amazed at the amount of people who don't write their own books. They want ghostwriters. So they put their name on the book and they kind of tell you what it's about, and they give you this crap, and you're like, I'm gonna write your book. And then I didn't do that. I just edited like novels and stuff like that, and some sci-fi stuff, which I'm not really into that kind of thing, but I did it.
Huh. So you might not like the Sidonia series that PG recommends. If sci-fi.
No, I'm not really into fiction. I like nonfiction, except for philosophy. That's not really nonfiction. Dostoevsky. I love him. He's my favorite probably.
Yeah, I'm with you. He's kind of like True Detective. He's top 3 from. Well, Olevy, you've been through a lot. I hope that things are on the up and up now, right? And,
I'm fine, really. I have a couple of really close friends that I talk to, and besides not being able to see my best friend because he's in Pennsylvania and I miss him terribly. He's a professor at York, and I haven't seen him. I was just talking to him last night, and I haven't seen him in like a year. But he's getting his vaccine in April, so hopefully I'll see
York,
him.
You mean York just north of Baltimore?
York, Pennsylvania.
Oh, York, Pennsylvania. Yeah. That's what I meant, actually, yeah.
Yeah,
That's just
he's
over
from
the
here.
border,
We went to
right?
high school together, but yeah.
That's not too far, though. That's about like a couple
It's
hours.
like I remember when my son he went to undergrad at Stevenson. So anytime that I would go sit with my son, and if I go see him at Owings Mills, it wasn't that far just to drive up whatever that. God, what was that road in Owings Mills? I can't even remember the name now. Like what?
85 or 75 or 95. I don't know.
Yeah, something like that. But like going right up there was a pretty much a straight shot to York, so it wasn't that.
Everybody
far to
here
go
is
to see
talking
him.
about. He's basically saying, "Oh my God, that bridge! Holy heck, that bridge!" Yeah.
Oh, what did they look up to see the pictures of it or something?
Yeah.
I don't have the screen up. I can't see what people are saying because it was playing. It was loud, so I can't see what people are saying.
Well, Olevy, thank you for sharing the stories, and it was really, really nice to meet you and have the chance to talk to you and put the face with the person that I always see in chat. So,
Yeah, my setup has always just been crazy. I had to get a new computer, a new camera, because I tried to start a YouTube channel, and that so far has been a bust. But I'm gonna keep at it. So,
you're gonna keep at it?
oh yeah, it was just I could. What happened was that my family's staying here, and then my daughter was here for a while,
That makes
and
it-
it's
yeah.
just, it was just too loud, you
Yeah.
know. And I'm such a perfectionist that I wanted it to be really good, and I had even bought, you know, like I bought so many new things that I hadn't used yet, so it was just a matter of having space and getting it all hooked up, and it's still kind of everywhere, but I'm almost there to where I want to be. So
Well,
I think I've got 34 subscribers so far, so I'm good.
Oh, your channel's already up. What is it?
Yeah, I
the
started
name?
it last year. Yeah.
Can you say the name of your channel? So.
It's what my name is on here. That's all it is.
Oh, okay. Okay, well then everybody should go and subscribe or check out your channel. What kind of videos do you do?
I was reading tarot.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Tarot, but really I incorporated a lot of astrology in it. That's what fascinated me the most was the astrology part of it. You know that I'm always talking about where the planets are and that kind of stuff.
Right. We're out of Mercury retrograde now, right? That.
Yeah, Saturday was the end of that. So
Okay. So yeah. There we go.
yeah, you are definitely what I mean. You're a Virgo sun, and I believe you're a Capricorn moon, and you are so. It just fits you perfectly.
I fit the profile of a Virgo Capricorn. Virgo?
Yeah, with the way that you do your audio and video and everything being so perfect and just great and
Well,
yeah.
not perfect at all. I'm making mistakes all the time. It's yeah, I'm definitely still learning, especially with live streaming.
They
and
look
stuff.
your videos look like movies and mine look like a 6-year-old did them right now. So.
No, well, I haven't been to your channel, but what I'm seeing right now, even this right now, this is not a webcam that we're seeing right now, right? You're is it a webcam or is it?
No, it's my old Apple iPhone that I pulled out of a tote, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna use that as a webcam, and I
Wow.
downloaded an app that switches it over.
Wow, that's surprisingly good. For any iPhone that isn't the 12 or the 11, that's pretty awesome.
It's an iPhone 6S, very old.
Oh yeah, I had a 6S for a long time. Yeah, that was a good one. It's nice and thin. Okay, well, I'm gonna say goodnight, Olevy. Thank you for calling in. Everybody, please check out her channel.
Or
Look
not.
at Nasha just showed up now. My gosh.
That's my friend.
All right. Thank you very much, and have a good night, and
Me too.
continue to feel good. And I'll see you in the chat.
All right. Bye.
All right. Night. Oh, that was really cool because I've seen Olevy a lot, obviously, in the chat, and I'm now able to put a face to her. The 6S gang. Yeah, I hung on to that for a long time. My favorite was the 5 because of the bezel. And it is also why I like the 12 because I much prefer this bezel. Oh, my stomach. This bezel to the old bezel, but I don't like the Max. It's just too big for my hand. I can't do stuff that I want. Oh, shoot. I can't do stuff that I want to do with it. I don't need these anymore. All right. Well, now that Nash is here, I think it's time to sign off. I really appreciate y'all sticking around. I'm sorry that I missed last week. We'll try not to do that in the future. And I'm sorry for the audio issues with this camera and the quality issues with that camera. I do like the the rim light I'm getting from that. Look, I think this is from the sunburn today. Like I think it's worse now than it was when we started the stream. But anyway, yeah. So I hope everybody has a good night, and I will see you all next week if you're around. And thank you for tuning in. And be good, stay safe. Don't have any more near-death experiences. And if you think of anything that y'all want to talk about, please either join the Discord and talk about it there, or DM me with it, anything like that. That'd be great. All right, I will see you all soon.